everybody, and welcome to another episode of DemoPod, the Demolition podcast. I am your host, Ryan Marr, but it's all about the stars of the show, former three-time WWE World Tag Team Champions, and now we can officially call them WWE Hall of Famers from the class of 2026. Barry Smash Darso, Bill Axidi, Demolition. How we doing, guys?
Very good, Ryan.
Incredible, unbelievable weekend.
Long weekend.
Yeah. Unbelievable weekend, long weekend. You guys, it's funny. I want the fans to understand this fully. Just because I host this show, I'm not privy to any more information than you guys are. Okay. So I made the mistake when I sent these guys a group text to record this episode. I said, and we'll talk about any downtime. And then I quickly put in parentheses, if any, because you guys were going nonstop from when you got into town until you left, right? I mean, there was no downtime.
There was no downtime. The only downtime we had was from one event to the next event. And we must have done 25,000 steps a day, Thursday through Sunday. So it was nice to sit on that plane Sunday or Monday morning and go home.
Yeah. And what was really incredible about the whole thing was all the guys, the wrestlers, and everybody. They were so respectful, and it was good to be there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that people are going to be lighting us up with questions over the next several episodes about the whole experience. We're going to try to cover as much ground as we can. Over the last couple of episodes that we have recorded since you have, received news about your Hall of Fame induction, there's been a lot that's gone on. People have asked who's going to induct them, how much time are they going to have for their speech? And you guys, I didn't really press you for a lot of information because I knew it was a stressful yet joyous time for you guys going in. When did we find out how much time the speech was going to be allotted for you guys? And when did we get to discover that you were going to have quite possibly the greatest trio of Hall of Fame inductors ever? I mean, you had the baddest man in the history of the business, Haku, arguably the guy with the greatest physique, and arguably, although you won't get much of an argument from me, the greatest talker in the business, Arn Anderson. Anderson, Warlord, Haku, how did that happen?
Well, Barry had submitted several names. They asked for us to submit some names, and I think, Barry, you put in about a half dozen, not knowing who they, it's based on their relationship, too, with the company. Mm-hmm. And we were pleasantly surprised when we got there to find out who they had selected. And I think it's probably the first time that they had three different people doing an introduction. So it was nice.
Yeah. When I submitted the names, like Bill was saying, we didn't know, which one was going to get to be able to do it. And then it was probably 2 days before, I think, Bill, that one of the guys from the WWE said, we're going to use three of them, and it was going to be those three guys. And when they were kind of debating which one of those three, and then somebody in the office says, well, why not just have all three of them? It's the 80s. We've wrestled them all. They're all friends of ours, and they're all good guys with the WWE. So that's how it all happened.
It was personally a thrill for me as a fan to get to see that, because I actually met you two gentlemen along with Haku on the same day back in 2018 at one of Tommy Fierro's 80s wrestling cons, which you're going to be coming back to in New Jersey on May 16th. But that was the first time I met you guys and Haku. And then it was about 2 years later that I hosted Warlord for one of the 80s Wrestling Con virtual signings. So I was just like, this is crazy to see these three guys on the screen. I've been a lifelong fan of Arn Anderson. I think he's probably the greatest talker in the history of the business, and a great ambassador for the business, not just now, but even in his prime. I mean, I've told you guys on past episodes that as a young child, I preferred WWE, but I thought WCW was real. And one of those reasons was because of Arn Anderson. And I know, Barry, he's been a friend of yours now for, 45 years, something like that.
Yeah. And he just, I don't know how you say it, but he's real witty. Anything that you come to him with, he's got an answer for.
Yeah.
And it used to be funny when he was in the locker room, him and, Stone Cold Steve Austin or, a couple other guys, they'd start going at each other, and each of them all had comebacks against each other. So that's how witty he is.
That's great. I want to talk to you guys about your speech itself because I got to tell you, you did a fantastic job, both of you. And I mean, the presence that you guys have, you both have an ability to really steer an audience. And I say this to young comics coming up. I'm like, you're in control. You have the microphone. And in past years, we've seen some guys kind of get faltered when the fans interact at certain points during the speech. You guys held your ground. Be honest, though. How much rehearsal did we have? Or did we just kind of keep it in the back of our mind like, all right, this is what we're going to do when we get out there?
Well, they had us go out there and rehearse it a few times.
Okay.
And I have to admit, I got off track because when I got out there, I rethought some of the lines
Okay.
that I had submitted. And I had actually, one of the things that my wife mentioned to me right after is I forgot to thank Barry for his contribution to the team. And I didn't mean to slight him, but I just wanted to,
Sure you did. So the hell with that guy.
but I wanted to emphasize the activity of the current people in the business and the production. Because, Barry and I talked about over the weekend, I would hate to be in that production crew because they take a lot of flack and don't receive too much support. And those guys and girls in the business, they're under a lot of pressure. And I wanted to acknowledge them, but I also wanted to acknowledge the people that had given me guidance, like Barry as well. So it was a stressful time, and I wish we could have gone longer. I understand we had a time frame, but I was happy with how it came out.
Yeah, and when they first were telling us to do all this, I had a speech that was going to be about a half hour long, and I was going to tell stories about
Yeah.
Andre the Giant and different people and how I got in the business and all that. And then when they came to us and said you had 6 minutes, and I went, 6 minutes between both of us? They said yes, and it was like, well, how am I going to take 3 minutes and Bill take 3 minutes?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you have to cut this speech down, what your whole thought process was. And mine ended up being probably 4 or 5 minutes. And then Bill's was 4 or 5, 6 minutes maybe. So we went over the time limit, but it's almost, you're getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. How can you just, not really tell what you're thinking, And I noticed afterwards on the WWE site, they just have a couple of words that I said, and they have Bill's whole speech, which is fine for me, but it's because we went over the time limit. I'm sure.
Well, there's different variations because I saw just the reverse of it. So I think that they're doing little splices and stuff. So someplace out there, the whole thing's out there.
Yeah, it is, but not on the WWE site. It's not.
Right.
But what you were saying on there was kind of, I sent you what my speech was going to be like. So you kind of filled in everything I was going to say before, when you're thanking everybody and doing all. So we both worked out perfect.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of the whole thing was when you were talking about the new guys and girls wrestling and how good they were doing and everything. And then when I said, well, I think we should do a run-in.
I love that.
And then the whole crowd went nuts. It was like, wow. And then, perfect line,
And I'm so glad you brought that up because you had
Yeah.
said that same line. We actually have a clip of it on the Demolition Pod Instagram page. You had mentioned that whole debacle about running down to the ring, and Bill had said, I think I'm going to walk. I'm older. And
That's right.
but you guys hit it. It almost kind of reminded me of Waldorf and Statler from the Muppets up there. Like it was the timing, and that's really what I wanted to start. My praise for your guys' speech was Bill, like you said that you kind of got off track. It did not show to the viewer at home. As a matter of fact,
that's good.
I was home sitting in my recliner when it started, And I was texting with a friend of mine as well as Dan, the producer. I had 2 different texts going. And when we found out that Stephanie was going first, there was a part of me that was like, oh, this is going to be tough. How do you follow that? But I think it was actually, from a production standpoint, it really set the tone for the show, because she was so giving in her speech and talking about others. And you did the same thing. And I really love that, because those are the guys, the talent. A lot of them performed already that night. They have a big weekend ahead of them, and now they have to go put on the dresses, the tux. So I think it's great that even though they're there to pay homage to you, guys like you know what they're going through, so you're giving it back to them, and it all comes full circle.
Yeah, they had a long weekend as well.
Yeah, they definitely did. I want to talk a little bit about interactions at the Hall of Fame itself. When you're backstage at that theater, are you in your head? Are you in the zone? Or are you having time to really enjoy the moments? Are you getting to talk to a Dennis Rodman, Andre the Giant's daughter? Bill, I know that had to be a meaningful connection with you. Or is it just, oh no, my speech? Do you get to soak any of it in?
No, we weren't worried about the speeches. I mean, both Barry and I were in the business long enough, and we prided ourselves on one take. Unfortunately, we didn't. We were in at different areas.
Mhm.
We didn't really get to see Andre's daughter.
Okay.
We saw Hogan's boy.
Nick. Yep.
We didn't get to really see Rodman until minutes.
Probably right before the show, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were so many people backstage and so many things going on. It's very, very confusing. I wouldn't want that position on a regular basis, because it's not chaos, because they know what they're doing.
Mhm.
But if you were observing it and seeing all the pieces moving at one time, you would say, oh my God, this is chaos. But it's not, because they have control of it.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to see. We did have good locker room time, because they had a Hall of Fame area designated, and Kevin Nash was there, and Haku, and X-Pac was there. So we had a peaceful time. And I it's funny, because you got all these beat up old wrestlers in there putting on the tuxedos at one time, and we're all having to help each other put it on, because our shoulders are so banged up we can't get our jackets on.
Yeah, it's funny because we're back there, like Bill says, in this room, and they got a couple of snacks, and they got some gummy worms and some pop and water, and you're there at 3:00 in the afternoon. You're waiting for a 9:00 show, So,
Yeah.
But anyways, we're in the back cracking jokes and doing everything for about 3-4 hours, and the Warlord says to me, he goes, "Hey Barry," he says, "when it's time, can you help me, get my coat on? I can't get my coat on." And I said, well, I'll help you if you help me get my coat on. I can't get mine on either. So you got all these guys trying to help each other and tying ties, and I mean, but these guys are the greatest guys in the world. That's why Haku and Warlord, we wanted them to do that, and we could have had X-Pac and Kevin Nash do it too, because they're such good friends. I mean, that was the best part of the whole thing.
That was the relaxing time of all the time.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys about Kevin Nash, because he's always spoken very highly of both of you on his podcast, long before we even started DemoPod, and we just hit the 1-year anniversary mark. So I was going to ask if you had any fun interactions with him, because he put out his podcast a couple days ago, and I love how you talked about the gummy worms and stuff like that. He had his own take on the catering, or lack thereof, I should say. It was very entertaining.
Well, the first thing I said to Kevin Nash when we came in, he stood up, I gave him a big hug, and I said, "Kevin, thank you. You started this 2-3 years ago about getting us into the Hall of Fame." So he spoke very highly of us way back then.
That's great. I mean, but let's talk about the most important thing. Both of you remembered your wives' names, so props to that. I know.
Oh boy,
you were both very concerned.
That's the most important part.
We know who the bosses are, that's for sure.
And both of your families got some well-deserved screen time, which was very nice to say. to cap off the Hall of Fame discussion, I will say that this was probably one of the best overall classes in recent years. I mean, every inductee from top to bottom, including Dennis Rodman. I know some fans have negative opinions about the celebrity wing, but Dennis Rodman, especially in the late 1990s when he skipped practice with the Chicago Bulls to go run wild with Hulk Hogan and the NWO. I mean, that was such a huge piece of late 90s pop culture and mainstream. And, you know, I think this was one of the most deserving Hall of Fame classes of all time. Now, I want to pivot into WrestleMania weekend itself because you guys finish the Hall of Fame. I mean, it was late at night at that point by the time you were all wrapped up. And then what did you get? 4 hours sleep before you had a sign at WrestleCon the next day? Or did you have to go right to the arena for WrestleMania? How did that work?
Well, before that, we were at Tom Brady's store there in Las Vegas for a signing. I got in Thursday. Barry had gotten in the night before, so we did a signing at Tom Brady's store.
Okay.
And then on Friday morning, we went to WrestleCon and signed all day. Well, I think it was till 2:00, wasn't it, Barry?
Yep, till about 2:00. Yeah.
And then we went to the arena for the Hall of Fame and went through that. And then the next morning we got back up and we were supposed to go to WrestleCon, but they asked us if we would come to the stadium. So we were there at 10:00.
Wow.
And then we switched. We were supposed to have Sunday off, but the gentleman that had us out for WrestleCon was gracious enough to understand. So we went to WrestleMania, did that, and then the next morning, Sunday morning, went back to WrestleCon. So it was move.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to get to one of the biggest surprises and coolest visuals from the entire weekend. And I mean, it was a very good WrestleMania card from top to bottom on both nights. But I want to talk about the tribute. And Dan, of course, will throw some pictures up in post. The WWE Women's Tag Team Champions going into WrestleMania were Nia Jax and Lash Legend, the Irresistible Forces. And I got to tell you, man, what a spot on presentation they did. A little feminine version, a little feminine tribute to Demolition. And yeah, and you're showing it up and we're going to have them put it up in post as well. I got to tell you why I love this. There was an early episode we did of this podcast, probably somewhere between episodes 3 and 5, where a viewer from YouTube submitted the question, what would Barry and Bill do if they could build a modern day Demolition, a reboot, if you will? And we had a little bit of fun with it. So this may be the closest thing we're ever going to get to a Demolition reboot. What a pleasant surprise for us as fans to get to see that. When did you guys find out that they were going to do that?
Well,
go ahead, Barry.
All right, we right before the Hall of Fame, we were on the red carpet and we were doing the ring ceremony. And Triple H, it was Bill, myself, and Triple H, and Triple H was talking to us, and there was probably 40 cameras in front of us taking all the pictures and everything. And Triple H turned and looked at us and said, "Hey, there's going to be something pretty neat at WrestleMania tomorrow night. We're going to get you in the front, and there's going to be a couple of girls that are going to do something for you." Wow. So that's when we first heard that. And then when we got to the arena, right before we were going out, probably 3 hours before, one of the guys came over and said, "Hey, can you get some pictures with these girls with us?" So we went back there and they were all dressed up with all the stuff. And that's where those pictures were from.
Yeah.
So they took about probably 30, 40 pictures. So that's when we found out about it. And those two girls, the sweetest girls, and they were just incredible. And, it was a great tribute.
Yeah, it was a huge thrill to see it because, I mean, it was spot on. I mean, it was just white as opposed to the black. And I just am fascinated. There's a lot of unsung heroes in the production of WWE. And Bill, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, which is what I was going to ask you guys, because of course, as Demolition, you were a part of WrestleManias 4, 5, and 6. Barry, you and Crush at WrestleMania 7. And then Barry, you were also a part of WrestleMania 8 and then went back to WrestleMania 17 in the gimmick battle royal. So you guys have both experienced the stadium aspect of WrestleMania, being at the Sky Dome, but I would imagine it's just night and day compared to how it was when you guys were there and active. So just a lot going on and a big weekend. Did you spend most of your time at WrestleMania back in the locker room area, or did you get to spend more time out in seats, or was that just for that tribute?
Well, we went to the ringside just for that particular section, but they had us doing interviews and photo sessions, and it was, we must have walked that stadium, I'm not kidding you, 4 times.
I believe it.
And it was nice to finally be able to just sit down. The most peaceful time was during the introductions, because we could just stand in one location. But other than that, we were back and forth. But we enjoyed it. I mean, it was, like Barry mentioned, everybody was friendly. Everybody was courteous. Everybody was respectful, and made us feel comfortable, made us feel like we were actually a part of the community again.
Yeah, and we ended up spending a lot of time with Jimmy Hart and Nick Hogan, and that's the first time I've met Nick.
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
I'll take that back. I met him when he was real young, but
Yeah.
now he's a man, and what a nice guy he is. And Jimmy Hart,
And has
he
been
was,
through a lot.
yeah, he was one of the guys on our list with the Warlord and Barbarian and all them. And then I could see why they didn't have him do it, because he did the deal with Andre's daughter and Nick.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then back to the Hall of Fame night. Linda McMahon was there. She was great. Stephanie was unbelievable. I mean, everybody back there was excellent. But we didn't get to see them really during WrestleMania time.
So I'm assuming then you probably didn't even really get to watch too much of the card itself, right? Because you're just being run around all in the back doing interviews and whatnot.
Well, we caught bits and pieces of it because they had monitors back there.
Okay.
And it just depended on what area we were in, if we could watch it, because we watch a little bit and then we'd go someplace else and watch a little bit more and go someplace else.
Yeah.
So we understood that. I mean, we're there for a limited amount of time, and there's so much activity going on. My goodness, I don't envy Triple H in his position, because all you hear is negative, and very little positive feedback. But those guys work not 24 hours a day. They're probably working 25 and 26 if possible.
Yeah.
But
No,
I know there's only 24 hours, but they're on call or duty or planning something. And then they had Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and now they're on the road again. So
yeah,
I don't envy anybody in that position.
And I think the difference between the WrestleManias that I've been around is they're really putting a lot of money into, the pyro and, the stages, and every match that goes out there has their own real theme. Like when the girls went out there, Charlotte Flair had that big butterfly deal. And,
yeah.
I mean, the costumes are just incredible. And I think that's kind of the big difference from our day till now.
Well, even before Netflix got so heavily involved in WWE, I mean, WWE was always credited with having top of the line production. I mean, one of the big, praises that's been heaped on WWE from years back is that you don't have to necessarily watch the television buildup going into some of these premium live events, because the vignette packages that they put together kind of catch you up to speed before the match even takes place. And this year, I mean, other than the main events, they didn't really do those video packages. But like Bill was saying, you only hear the negative. And in this day and age of the internet, the negative voices tend to get amplified the loudest. In past years, the complaint was always, the shows are too long. Now I thought they did a great job with making it concise. There were ads. Guess what? Yeah, you need ads to pay the bills. And I'll tell you, on Saturday night, it kind of bit me a little bit. I had a gig I got back late. So I said, oh, great. It'll be streaming. I'll just watch the replay of night one. And they wouldn't let me fast forward. And I'm an ESPN Unlimited member. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to watch it from beginning to end. I was up till like 5 a.m, but I did watch it because it's WrestleMania. I enjoyed the card. I wanted to ask you, Barry, night 2, Brock Lesnar, Obafemi. Brock Lesnar leaves the boots and the gloves in the ring. It's funny, before we were recording, I was listening to a sports podcast talking about Brock Lesnar's retirement. I don't think it's going to be the retirement. I think it's SummerSlam. We're going to see Brock Lesnar maybe get involved in something. What was the overall consensus from everybody? Was it a big shock, a big surprise? Were people going, oh my God, what's going on here?
Well, I was actually with my wife watching it in a restaurant and bar on a big screen.
Okay.
And I was shocked when I saw it. I didn't see that coming, but he did a hell of a job doing it.
Yeah.
And those were real tears coming out of his eyes, knowing that that was going to be his last match.
Okay.
And I would think, I kind of think like you are. I don't think it's going to be his last one. I think somehow he's got to make a comeback and something, and it'll be a big one.
Let's not forget, Gunther said that Paul Heyman owes him a favor. And when I saw that vignette for the 2-night SummerSlam in Minneapolis, and pictures of the Minnesota Vikings kind of thrown in there, I said, I don't know. I don't think we've seen the last of Brock, but it was emotional. And it was kind of wild to see. And I enjoy the speculation. I enjoy when people get in the YouTube comments and start, talking about, oh, well, he threw up the X. Maybe he was legitimately hurt and knew he never wanted to do this again. Like I enjoy seeing people talk about that, but I don't think that was the end either. I don't know if Bill has a differing opinion or.
Well, I was shocked as well. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a little confused because right after that, of course, everybody is speculating it. He's trying to stretch it out. So if he retires, he earned it.
Yeah.
If he wants one more match, then that's fine too. So,
so Ryan, on the second night, what match did you like the most?
I loved CM Punk Roman Reigns. I thought that was so terrifically done. I felt, again, from a fan's point of view, over the last couple of years, I thought that a lot of these main event matches got a little too predictable with, okay, guys are going to kick out of 6 or 7 finishers. With those guys, I love the elements of like, we don't like each other. We're going to have trash talking in between the punches. We're going to have our high spots, but they're going to be in places where they make sense. I loved the fact that they were both exhausted, run down. It felt like you were watching a real fight. I thought that match was great, but I don't think there was a bad match either night. I will say that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I plan on watching it, but the ladder match,
incredible.
Holy cow, Bill! Did you see the ladder match?
Who was in that?
Oh. Javon Evans, Penta defending the Intercontinental Championship.
Rey
Mysterio.
I didn't get a chance to see that.
Incredible. I mean, Penta hit the not the Canadian Destroyer, the Mexican Destroyer on Buddy from the Judgment Day. His name's escaping me at the moment, but yeah, it was amazing. You got to catch that, Barry?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I don't know how these guys walked out of some of those things.
I know.
I mean, this ladder was 18 feet tall or whatever, and they were coming off that thing, going over the top rope onto each other, hitting, suplexes on the ladders where the ladders are breaking, and the table is nothing. You can't fake hitting a ladder. I don't care if it's cut or however they do it. They weren't. They were hitting these ladders, and it had to hurt. I mean, I thought that was incredible, and I can't wait to watch CM Punk and Roman Reigns.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, and then going back to Seth Rollins and Gunther was incredible. Like I said, there was not a bad match on the show. Correction, because I apologize. It was Buddy Matthews. That spot that Penta hit on Buddy Matthews.
Was that the one on the flat ladder?
So they had the spot. The Mexican Destroyer is the flipping pile driver, and he ended right. And I don't want to be that guy because I enjoyed the match, but I always just get fearful because it seems like every time there's a Money in the Bank ladder match or a multi-person ladder match, the MO is we have to outdo it, right? And every year when you think they can't outdo that spot, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. They somehow managed to outdo
They
it.
did it.
So I get a little scary, and I don't want to be that guy, but you know, I have to imagine that, you know, you guys, when you were young and starting in the business, or maybe Bill in your role as Barry's mentor, I mean, you guys always heard stuff like that from the guys that came before you, right? Slow down, do more.
Yeah.
And so now when you watch a match like that, it has to be mind-blowing to sit back and go, what is going on? You know?
Well, I'm glad they can do it, so I certainly wouldn't do it. But
Bill, there was no way you and I could ever do anything like that at our size. I mean, you know, it was brutal. You know, Bill coming off with the finish from the apron down to me on the deal about killed us. I
Yeah.
can't imagine being 18 feet up and doing a flip and landing on a ladder. Holy jeez.
Yeah, it's wild to see what these guys managed to do. And then, like, you know, Bill pointed out, they're right back. They're wrestling the next night, you know, and that's why
yeah,
I like seeing, you know, I'm 42 years old. All the main eventers right now in WWE seem to be 40 and up. And I feel like once those guys do kind of hang it up, it's going to be a very different wrestling business. And we're already seeing that now. I mean, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton had a physical war. And Cody walked out on Monday night for his promo. He was limping. He took off the sunglasses so that you could see the shiner. But then yet guys that were in that ladder match that were doing those crazy, insane things, they were wrestling on Monday night like nothing had happened. And look, they're making money. They're getting paid to be there. So I'm not going to knock anybody, but it's just me, those little differences, you really start to notice them over time when I'm like, that doesn't add up.
well, you know what? I worry for some of them. Good that they can do that,
Yeah.
but every year that goes by, like this is the extent of my close of my hand. So every year that goes by, those bumps that they did today are going to catch up.
Yes.
So just enjoy what you're able to do now, guys. So, but be careful.
Yeah, because one wrong move, and I mean, it can be just you turn your head the wrong way and hit wrong. I mean, that could be the end. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how serious what these guys are doing now. Oof.
It
Can't
is.
imagine.
And I want to correct myself in real time, as though it's probably already been done in the comments. Our fill-in producer tonight, Rob, sitting in for Dan. It was J.D. McDonough, not Buddy Matthews. I don't know why I said Buddy Matthews, but it was J.D. McDonough who took that amazing, and I keep calling it the Canadian Destroyer because that's what it was originally known as, but the Mexican Destroyer from Penta was delivered on J.D. McDonough. I definitely want to know what you guys think of Roman Reigns versus CM Punk when you get a chance to watch that, because I think you're both going to be very pleased with how well done that was. I want to ask you, after experiencing the full weekend, how do you guys feel going forward? I mean, you got to be excited. I'm seeing there's more action figures coming out. There's more cool stuff going on. What can we expect? Anything? Is there anything you can tell us about what's coming down the pike with WWE?
Well, I mean, they had released, I think there's at least one or possibly two new action figures coming out in, what is it, June and August or something, Barry?
Yeah, I saw the big
Yeah.
rubber guys. You guys are actually going to be packaged separately in those. That was pretty cool.
And then they mentioned the game, the 26.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think that's actually already taken off.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, they've got good plans for us, so we're happy about that. And I'll be very honest, I was pleasantly surprised by how comfortable everybody made us feel. It's like we never left. Nobody brought up anything about, well, back in the day and this and that. It was present day. You're here. We love you. Thank goodness we get to see you. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that I regret, I wish I would have, you know, I saw the Undertaker off in the distance. I wish I would have got over to talk to him because, you know, I really like him. He's a great guy. We got to talk to Shawn Michaels, which I haven't talked to Shawn in a long time. But, you know, everybody has a job there. And,
Yeah.
you know, when it's live time, you really can't go up and say, hey, how you doing or anything, because everybody's got to be thinking what their job is.
Yeah.
The Miz, we stopped and talked to the Miz, an incredible guy. But when you were watching him get ready for the show, he's walking the halls, going through the stuff in his head and, making sure he does it right. And I mean, that's kind of how everybody was.
Yeah, and
So
he's a perfectionist from everything that I've been told. I mean, I used to see him on The Real World on MTV
yeah,
as a fan talking about wanting to be a wrestler, and people thinking like, "Oh, what a goof," and then he wound up main eventing WrestleMania. Yeah, no,
Yeah, he was very nice. He took some time out, took pictures with my family members, so I appreciate that.
well, he said you guys were his favorite tag team growing up. We didn't touch on that. I want to say that I really, really was impressed with the Hall of Fame video package they put together for you
yeah,
guys. Gabriel Iglesias, that was cool to see him. I know he's a super fan. Drew McIntyre singing along
Right.
with the song with Sam Roberts. I mean, that was just so, so well done. And I just love the old school footage of you guys walking through those halls at Madison Square Garden with the mask, the leather. There's just something about that is just so badass. Those old MSG clips and everything like that. I thought the whole thing was just so well done. And like I said, I mean, I can admit when I'm wrong. When I saw that Stephanie McMahon was going first, I went, oh no, they're going to have to follow that. But I just thought it set the tone perfectly for how the rest of the evening was going to go. And you guys did a great job. I know that the WWE 2K26 video game, you guys are now available as downloadable characters. I'm seeing a lot of promotion, a lot of commercials for that. You have some big appearances coming up. The one I want to talk about right now, because I'm going to be there hanging out with you guys, May 16th, 80s Wrestling Con at the Parsippany PAL. We had so much fun there back in February, and it was literally like an ice storm. So now to be
Yeah.
there in May, I'm expecting a great turnout. I think it's a lot of fun. You guys have anything else coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, we're in Utica, Michigan, correct, Barry?
yep. That's Sunday. This Sunday.
Okay.
That's this coming Sunday.
Not wasting any time. Back on the road.
Oh no, we've got a long list. We'll let Dan is going to take care of the
AxeandSmash.com.
Yep,
X.com.
actionSmash.com.
So he's gonna list all the places we're at. We're just fortunate we've had to turn down some, unfortunately, because we don't want to double book. We wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But we're just happy. You know what? And I don't want to overlook the whole weekend at WrestleCon, at the Brady store, at WrestleMania. It was tons and tons and tons of fans that came up to us, and we're so thankful and so appreciative that Barry and I both. I mean, it was overwhelming the number of people that came up to us and wished us well. And I just want to extend, if it wasn't for the fans, both of us believe that that moment would have never taken place.
Absolutely.
They gave us support over these years. And I think WWE responded to it.
Yeah, and at the Hall of Fame when we were all done with our speeches and we were saying goodbye to everybody, that crowd, standing ovation
100%.
crowd was going crazy. And I mean, that's when you get that feeling like, holy crap, these people are just unbelievable. And that's like Bill said, that's why we're in there, because of those people.
Well, think about it like this, guys. I mean, I know because you're in the thick of it with all of these autograph appearances and conventions, that's the niche diehard wrestling crowds that usually tend to show up to those things, right?
Yeah.
For fans that have only watched WWE, this was the first time they saw you guys together with that music playing in 36 years. And it's mind-blowing. And the fact that, it got packaged with the Warlord, Haku, Arn Anderson. I mean, for a lot of viewers, we're talking about, they're haven't seen you guys since their childhood. And now, I mean, when I look at the comments from Friday night up until today, people that just went and Googled Demolition, oh my God, what have these guys been up to? And now they're commenting on the past episodes on YouTube going, oh, wow, this is great. So you were opened up to a whole other legion of fans. And I want to say, Bill, to your point too, about being welcomed back into the fold, I really was touched by that when you had, mentioned your line in the speech about being back in the frat house. I don't think you guys ever really left in the sense of what the boys thought about you and even what middle management thought of you. All these podcast clips have been trending on YouTube with Jim Ross and all these guys saying, yeah, we always mentioned Demolition's name for the Hall of Fame, and it stopped there. So
Yeah.
once the regime change happened, I've dealt with that at comedy clubs that I used to work at and I stopped working at. And then I'd go, oh no, I wonder if the waitress thinks I'm an idiot now.
Hello.
Then you meet them and then you're like, oh no, like it was just that regime, that guy in charge I didn't get along with. So I wasn't surprised that you were welcomed back because people have always spoken highly of you and always loved you. And it was a thrill to get to watch it.
Well, it was nice. I mean, I think, like I mentioned earlier, it was so busy. And now, ironically, today, Tuesday, I'm sitting back and I'm saying, my goodness, there was a lot of chaos and a lot of movement. But you know what? It was enjoyable. we're home now and we can decompress a little bit.
Here's how chaotic it was. We're recording this on Wednesday, but that's okay. Nobody's mad.
Oh my God, yes.
We're recording.
I was driving Tuesday. That's right.
We're recording Wednesday. It's going to drop just in time for the 1 week anniversary of them as Hall of Famers. But we got a lot of great stuff coming up. By the way, I'm loving from the past episodes, some of the comments and feedback we're getting from One Man Gang, Hakeem. We have to have him on again. We're definitely going to have some future guests, but axandsmash.com. That's where you can find everything that you need to find about DemoPod, about these guys' individual social medias, Demolition, merchandise, the store, pro wrestling tees. It's all there at axandsmash.com. Guys, before we wrap up, anything else?
No, I just want to, once again, I just want to thank the fans for their support over the years. I mean, and we both mentioned this and we both believe it. Without them, we had no career. And we enjoyed, when we were at WrestleCon, it closed Sunday at 1:00. And we were still signing until after 2.
Wow.
Because the fans came, and we're not going to just get up all of our doors and walk away. If they made the effort to travel, they were coming from Ireland and Germany and Australia and all over the world. You just can't leave them there without at least talking to them. So thank each and every one of them.
Yeah, in fact, both Bill and I were going, God, we need to get a break. We got to get to the bathroom here, and we couldn't. I mean, the line, it wasn't like you're just going to get up. They don't have a bathroom by you. It's a half a block away,
Yeah.
But, we did the best we could with that. But I was just saying, future podcasts here, demo pods, Arn Anderson definitely is going to be on here.
I can't wait for that.
And the Warlord, he's going to be so much fun. He's going to be on here. We got so many guys that, it's going to be a fun time here. And Bill and I, we're the luckiest guys in the world. We got the greatest family, the greatest fans, the greatest friends. We love them all. Love you, Ryan.
I love you guys too, and I'm very happy for you. It's great in life when you get to see things come full circle and you get to see good guys win in the end. And this isn't even the end. This is just the beginning of a lot of new great stuff that we have coming up. And so, like I said, Ryan Marr Comedy on Instagram, Search and Destroy You on Instagram, axandsmash.com for all things Demolition. We got a lot of great merchandise that's going to be coming out, a lot of exclusive stuff. There's going to be some memorabilia drops. And also for this page on YouTube, if you're watching, like, comment, share, subscribe, Spotify, iTunes, keep those 5-star reviews coming. My name's Ryan Marr. They are the WWE Hall of Famers, Axe and Smash. Guys, it's always a pleasure. I'll see you real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher.